creamsicles. My guess is those come next year. You will be able to see some of the other helmets, the Broncos in the bright blue helmet. Those will come back. Certainly, there's been people here who have talked about a white helmet here, and again, not scores, but you wonder if you ever wanted to do a white helmet like the one Otto Graham wore those many years ago. I would like to do that too. You would now be able to do that going forward. There's a lot of talk in Cincinnati that they're going to do a white black stripe to go with their all white uniform helmet. So we'll see. But this was the first proof that is coming, that you will have a multiple shells next year in the NFL. We knew it was coming, but this is the first team that's actually had it as part of their catalog.
Yeah, which that's a win right there. So that part of it, that's a win. I like that. I'm excited to see it. I mean, you think about what would you be the most excited to see? Creamsicle? Old Patriots? I love that old Patriots.
Pat the Patriot.
Pat's great.
Is really good. The Houston Oilers is gorgeous. I don't know who gets to wear it. Probably Tennessee gets to wear it, unfortunately. But that's a gorgeous one. Please do. Yeah. I think they should have just kept that in Houston. Seahawks would be interesting in the old Largent uniforms. The Broncos would be strong.
The silver helmet Broncos for sure.
For sure.
What I think would be fun too, and I know you're going to hate this, and I'm just going to say that because as a caveat. But, like, for example, the 49ers Color Rush uniform, which is only the Color Rush, which is the black with the red numbers.
To do a black hat?
Yes, because it looks ridiculous than wearing a gold helmet. So
yeah,
now
I think they mismatch. I mean, I don't
match
think
everything up.
If I were the 49ers, I would always wear red over gold and white over gold. But if you wanted to do, or even the white over white, I like that too. Maybe a white Niners helmet would look good with the all white one. I don't know, but
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to go that way, you might as well go all in. Go that way.
But now you can have alternates. And by the way, I guarantee that if they had a matte black Niners helmet where the SF, the part of it is red, that was like a foil red, they would sell a lot of those. They're great autograph helmets. It'd be great.
Yeah, you would sell a lot of those. So
old Eagles, I'd like.
There's a great one with the Kelly Green.
Old Jets
with the
and the Jets have had so many different hats. You go to Ken O'Brien's, you could go to the Chad Penningtons.
All that stuff's going to be back in play.
Awesome.
So
I'm
that's
here
fun.
for it.
Yeah,
that is fun.
But this was, man, I just can't imagine being somebody whose job it was to launch those, and this is the reaction you've gotten universally.
Crushed.
And you just go, I had one job.
But how could you not see that coming?
I don't know. That's what I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how you can't. Do you get in these little tiny rooms and you just convince yourself with yes men and just say, yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right. This is great. We love this. Isn't anybody going, no, you blew it, boy?
The commie part of the Commanders is hard for me to understand that, like, they were like, it's worth the risk. Commanders is so good.
So great.
That we're gonna take some lumps there. We're going to get called commies sometimes.
I think they could shorten this to commies. It's okay. How could we give up Commanders? Nobody's ever said this before. We've got to be the Commanders. Isn't there an Arena or XFL team that was the Commanders?
It was an AAF team.
There you go.
The San Antonio Commanders.
We got to be it.
Got to have it.
So great.
But in San Antonio, nobody's saying there's no San Antonio commies. It's why because it's in Washington. Everybody watches show The Americans.
It's also because it's the AAF.
Right.
Like
nobody cares.
The freaking National Football League. So maybe that is – I mean, it's just – anyway. So 5 years from now, they redo it, but they're stuck with the commies. They're going to be the commies going forward, and that's not great.
Man.
That is not great.
No.
Hard to do, but this was certainly not landing the plane. A lot of news around the NFL. We'll go around the NFL. Our great friend Cali Brownson is going to join us at 1:30 on the program. We have all sorts of things coming your way, a little bit into Brady's legacy, a little higher, lower, better, or worse with Gibbe on the program as well. We'll keep you updated on Ice-Mageddon as the afternoon goes along. We're off and running here. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Weather is cold outside. In fact, freezing rain coming tonight. Nice hot bath or shower would feel great. Why not transform your bathroom into a custom bath? Feel like a spa. Let the Bath Authority make it a reality for you. They can do this in about a day and for a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority can transform your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. Give them a call now for a free estimate. Get 2 tickets to the Great Big Home and Garden Show, 216-220-8399, or click thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. Cleveland's bathroom remodeling expert, largest selection of bath products, made in the United States. Acrylic tubs that'll insulate and keep the heat in. Tub-to-shower conversions, too. Everything you need for your wet space in the bathroom. They can take care of you. 216-220-8399, thebathauthority.com.
Can the Bath Authority help me with my one home improvement project in 2022?
I'm sure. Is it a bath project?
I want an outdoor shower.
Yeah, I feel like they could do that.
Have you ever done? Have you ever had one of those?
I mean, what am I, hard of outdoor showers? Come on. Who doesn't like an outdoor shower?
My sister-in-law has one in Rhode Island. It's spectacular.
I want this, and I want to help you achieve this in any way that I can.
This is what
my
wife and I have been discussing.
I like it.
Logistically, we think we've got it figured out.
Yeah.
We want an outdoor shower.
I like it. I like where your head's at, Gibby, and I want to help make it a reality in any way that I can.
Thanks.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's really a win for
really
everybody.
Is.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I like it a lot. From that to this happened yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
Former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores has sued the NFL and 3 teams, the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Giants, alleging discrimination regarding the interview processes with Denver and New York and his firing by Miami. It is a 58-page lawsuit filed in Manhattan federal court that seeks class action status. Among the details in this are the details of a interview in Denver after they had already allegedly hired Vic Fangio, in which John Elway and various partners are alleged to have appear to have been hung over and an hour late for the meeting. There is also screen grabs of text exchanges between him and Bill Belichick.
Is that an accidental text on purpose from the Curb Your Enthusiasm playbook by Bill Belichick?
I think it's very much in play that it was. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's more likely that than Bill Belichick doesn't know how to use a phone. Or that he would put that in text knowing all that he knows about the way things are tracked. I just feel like anyway, that Belichick saying congratulations on the job, and Flores saying, well, wait a second, I don't interview until Thursday. He's like, oh, I thought isn't this? And he goes, Coach, do you mean text me or Dable? And he goes, oh, I thought my fault, Coach BB, whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea.
He said, yeah, it's Dable, sorry.
So there are allegations that Miami's ownership, Stephen Ross, offered $100,000 for him to lose games in 2020, which would have been the Joe Burrow draft. The irony of that, of course, is they could have just drafted Justin Herbert, and they wouldn't be in the position they're in to begin with. The crazy thing about this is he actually went 10-6 and 9-8 in his 2 seasons coaching Miami. So that's pretty wild.
Without a quarterback that people would say would guide him to such a place.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty there's a lot to this. It appears that he has receipts. It appears that there are others that want to jump in on this, who have experienced similar things in the process of hiring in the NFL, and so it's an all-in play from Brian Flores, because you say to yourself, are you going to be somebody who can be hired again to coach in the league? And he's willing to risk all of that to be right here in his view. So it's a stunning thing, and the layers of it, I think, there's a lot of layers to it when you start talking about the idea of Ross, paying him to lose, and you think about the integrity of the game and all of that. I think all of those things start to stack up, and it's a lot to unpack.
It is a lot to unpack. And if I could, just say one thing, as we do Cleveland Browns Daily, I am very, very proud of where this organization has been in the 9 seasons. This will be going into my 10th season. The Browns have had a black head coach in Hugh Jackson. They have had 3 different, in the time that I've been here, 3 different black general managers, Ray Farmer, Sashi Brown, and Andrew Barry. From coordinators, Ray Horton's been the defensive coordinator twice. Joe Woods is currently the defensive coordinator. You think about this division at large, Mike Tomlin with the Steelers. You think about Marvin Lewis's tenure with the Bengals. You think about with the Ravens. You think about Ozzie Newsome as the GM. I mean, the AFC North is probably the best division for diversity in terms of leadership in the entire NFL, and I would say second might as well be eighth, and there are only 8 divisions.
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
So I'm certainly proud of that aspect here with the Cleveland Browns. But this is a big story that is not going to be going away anytime soon. And Brian Flores, he said, I'm risking my career right now to help be a part of making a change, and we'll see what ultimately comes of it. I thought it was very interesting that some of the responses were already saying that it's without merit. Like, let's investigate it. Let's investigate and, find out what's going on. And I think
some of the responses. The response from the NFL said it was without merit.
Well, right.
The response said it was without merit.
Well,
so
I was thinking those things.
Within
that's what
an
you
hour,
want to say, right? You're defending yourself against the allegations. And,
right, but it's within an hour of the lawsuit.
Right. Typically, I would think that you would take a more measured approach and say, look, at this time, we fully believe that this is not true, but we will investigate this as well to ensure that it is, in fact, not true.
Yeah, it was the aggressive nature of it was pretty wild. He was one of the most surprising fires this year by far. Was him being fired, considering what he had done in 2 years there, and the fact that he'd beaten the Patriots 4 times and he'd had the 10-6, 9-8 was a surprising fire to say the least. They have not made a hire yet, have they? They're one of the teams that are out there without a hire at this point. So, I don't know. There's a lot to it, and I'm always amazed where people that are this smart are concerned, and I'm with you on Belichick. Like, I don't think that was a mistake. I would not. That's my hunch. Just me talking. Hard for me to imagine that was a mistake on his end, because why would he be so quick to congratulate Brian Daboll compared to Flores? I mean, Flores was with him very recently.
Yeah, Daboll was with him as well.
But it's been a while, right?
Yeah,
because he was here and in Buffalo in between working with Belichick. It's been a little while since he's been with Belichick, hasn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing about it, which is pretty wild, but so he was last with the Patriots, and he was there for 4. He started the Patriots in 2, so he's with the Patriots 3 times.
Okay, all right. Well, then I have that wrong.
Defensive assistant 2000, 2001. Wide receivers coach 2002 to 6. Goes to the Jets, goes to the Browns, goes to the Dolphins, goes to the Chiefs. He was an offensive coordinator for 3 different teams in 3 consecutive seasons. Browns, Dolphins, Chiefs. That's amazing. Back to New England as the tight ends coach 13 to 16. Then down to Alabama with Saban.
Oh, rehabilitation
for
with
the
Saban, yep.
Coordinator and quarterbacks coach in 17. Bills coordinator through present, and now the Giants coach. So he won 5 Super Bowls with New England.
I've got that wrong. In terms of the relationship that he would have had with Belichick, I was unaware he was there for all of those stints and for all of that time. So that was surprising to me to hear that. But yeah, you still wonder if there's part of it. The root of the issue is what appears to be happening in the league from the coaching situation in regard to the Rooney Rule is it's not being used in the spirit of it. It's being used as a technicality and not a spirit of the rule. And that, I think, is something that the league has to sort out going forward. And I think that's probably something that's troubling for a lot of people, around the league, that those things are happening. And Flores has a lot here, and it appears that there are receipts. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll certainly see what comes of it. All right, coming up next, Cali Brownson with us in studio, Chief of Staff of the Browns. We will look forward to that coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. We're good. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you're going to become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Cali Brownson in studio, chief of staff here with the Browns. Are you prepared for this?
Yeah.
Gibby, do we have the mic?
Am I up?
Now
Yeah,
she
there
is.
she
I'm
is.
up. I'm up.
You are prepared?
Yeah.
What have you done? Do you have all the supplies?
Yeah.
Yep. And you have
So all you need is what? Like salt in a truck. That's it, right?
salt in a truck.
Salt in a truck.
By the way, did you guys notice I noticed this when I got out of the car yesterday to get the mail, that there is, you remember the Salt Bay guy?
Yep.
That's what I feel like it's on the roads. Like it's a,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a crunchy
we're
salt.
prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we're ready.
It's a salt glaze
Yeah.
right now. So
Love
we'll
it.
see. We'll see. I look forward to this. I think this classifies as an event. By the way,
it is.
it's a winter event.
yes.
It's an Arctic bomb.
Arctic bomb.
So,
Interesting.
We've got that going for
We
us.
got
We
that
do.
going for it.
We have Cali in studio with us.
Yeah.
What is obviously this was when we think about this season, you think about universally not what wanted to get achieved clearly and what the goals were. As you watch these other teams progress, and do you sit there and go, gosh, it's a play here or play there? Or do you say this is what we have to do to get better to be there a year from now?
Yeah, I think, one of the hardest things at this point in the season, obviously, is you're seeing, especially some of the teams that you are playing against and competing well against, going forward. But I don't think, you can live in that mindset of, oh, we're a play away, oh, we're this. I just don't think that is productive for what you're going to do in the future, So I think, your mindset has to shift to, here's who we know we need to be going into 2022. And I think you stay in that zone and look, you're happy for those who made it, as far as they are. And, other than that, you just kind of have to say, all right, who do the Cleveland Browns need to be next season so that, we're playing meaningful football into February.
Yeah.
Isn't it wild, though, how styles make the fights in a sense, and that you could sit here and say, since you've been with the Browns, 3-0 against a Joe Burrow-led Bengals team, 4-0 against the Bengals in total. We know last year, Week 18 was whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But 3-0 against Joe Burrow. Now he's representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, and in this year's matchup, 41-16 in Cincinnati. And so that's a style that seems to work well for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And now it's about, I think, taking that style, making sure it matches up enough to get us an opportunity to get into this dance. Because the 4 seeds are in the Super Bowl in
Right.
both conferences.
Right.
So
Yeah.
win your division and then give yourself an opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that, you're seeing a lot of that resilience too, which is something that, we know we have to be to get into February and still be playing. And a lot of the two teams that you're seeing right now have definitely fought through that resilience piece. So I think it really echoes just how important that is.
Do you sit back? We were treated to, you think of the divisional rounds, and you think about 4 games ending on the last play. You think
That's
about
right.
what we saw in the championship games, and both teams get out to big leads, and the teams got out to the leads both lost. Just as a fan of football, have you ever seen anything like what this league has given us the last 2 weeks?
It's been awesome. Like, it's what you want to see when you come down to this. You want to see absolute gauntlets. And it's funny because you watch these teams who are involved going into the divisional round and then going into the AFC and NFC championship, and you're like, oh, they're up to a big lead. But in the back of your mind, that doesn't mean anything right now. Like, let's talk about this when we get, into the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then let's start talking about it. And you almost know, and, that's what you want from a fan perspective. Somebody runs away with it, and it's a 2-score game, 3-score game. You're like, don't buckle your seatbelt, right?
Yep.
This is the AFC championship, and I think that's exactly what you want in that situation, being at this point in the season, to be able to see those like neck and neck. I don't know who's going to pull this out, and it's going to come down to the wire type matchups.
So you got your start in the NFL. You were with the Jets for a little bit, and then you go to the Bills. That's your first kind of coaching internship.
Yeah.
Did you talk to any of the people in that organization? That game, 13 seconds, just the insanity of that game and how they've kind of dealt with it, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't get into too much detail because I tried to put myself in their shoes and think about how much that would sting if somebody shot me a text and said, hey, what happened? 13, I put myself in their shoes and decided not to maybe go that far. But in talking to some of the people that I developed really good relationships with there, they were heartbroken. I mean, as anybody would be. And my heart was broken for them. A lot of the people that I worked with are still there, and just like I felt it for them in that moment. And, I got to work with Josh Allen really closely in my time there, just an unbelievable person and obviously athlete. And my heart broke for him because nobody is a bigger team dude than Josh, and how much he cared and how much he pours himself into it. So just seeing him like as their, and obviously they love to like throw the camera up in your face as soon as you've just had one of the most heartbreaking losses of your career. But I'm like looking at him and I'm just feeling it for him.
He had 9 touchdowns and 12 incompletions
yeah.
in the playoffs and didn't even make it to the AFC Championship, which is an outrageous thing to say out loud.
Like texting people like that, it's kind of the opposite of the old Chris Farley show. Like when you'd interview Paul McCartney and be like, "Hey, you remember when you wrote 'Hey Jude'? That
must have been awesome.
That was
awesome.
Yeah.
Boy, remember when you guys lost? And all you had to do was hold them for 13 seconds. That must have been terrible.
Yeah.
Was that terrible?
That really
that
stunk.
had just been the worst ever. You mentioned Josh Allen. Did you see signs in him young that led you to believe he would get here? Quickly?
In 2019 when I was with the Bills, we started off and he kind of started off like feeling things out and couldn't quite get in a rhythm. And then as we meshed through and everybody kind of meshed together, in 2019 we ended up going to the playoffs, playing Houston in the wild card. And like that back end of the season, starting to see the style of play that now you're seeing consistently out of him. I know I was definitely like this. He's going to be great. And you see it so much with so many quarterbacks like in that situation. Like he just found himself in a great situation with Brian Dable there and Ken Dorsey, who now is the OC. And he really meshed with it. So I think when I watched him coming out of the draft class, I don't know that I could have projected this part of it, but I think he found himself in a great situation there and has really grown, and he's surrounded by people who bring out the best part of him, and that was something that was impactful for me because that's what you see when you see that team gel together is they're bringing out the best in each other. And like I love watching the connection between him and Stephon Diggs. Like it's awesome. They built this great chemistry and they play for each other, and it shows on the field.
I just wonder if you could teach accuracy because that was something that you didn't know if he could ever get to a point where he could put it where he intended.
Yeah.
And you were worried about that.
Prior,
you was that at Wyoming,
yes.
and he was pretty erratic, especially that last year at Wyoming. He was good the year before, and then he lost a bunch of receivers, but it just wasn't there. And I thought, man, I was way off on him. I just don't know if you can teach accuracy. It's
And some of those throws too, like were so similar to some of the unbelievable, like when you watch the replay, you're like, how did that happen? Stuff that you see from like Patrick Mahomes sometimes too.
Oh, yeah.
Slinging it from your waist, and it's just perfectly on a dime in the right spot. I mean, it's really impressive. And again, I think that comes down to like his connection, with his receivers, knowing where they're going to be, trusting in that stuff as well.
Do you think for a young quarterback, and obviously now Brian Dable's the head coach of the New York Giants, but do you think for Josh, going back to your point about accuracy, the fact that he had the same system, same verbiage his entire career, maybe does that allow him to put his mind into things solely like mechanics for getting better and improving that action, as opposed to trying to, I got to learn a whole new playbook again, learn a whole new set of concepts again every year. He's just working on getting better in what he's done year after year.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, because I don't think people on the outside realize like how much time and mental effort it takes for these players to wrap their head around a brand new scheme and a brand new playbook. And it's not just that, but it's being so comfortable in the scheme that you can get out there and extend plays to that extent and do those things. So yeah, I think being able to stay in the same system and not just do that, but it's like grow in the system, and then the system expands around you a little bit like he has. I think that's been great. And he actually talked about like in COVID and everything prior to last year and then into this year, he talked about how he spent a lot of time working on the small things that he had kind of lost and gone by the wayside. So yeah, potentially, working and having a goal for accuracy, et cetera. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that like when you have the consistency of a scheme and a system, and it stays and it's consistent, it doesn't pull you away from maybe working on those small physical ability things.
I feel like it's almost as important as the ability you have as the circumstance you're in.
Of course.
There's 1,000 examples of that. And you go back to Tim Couch here 20 years ago. You think about David Carr and the situation he was in Houston. You think about there's all these examples of this is not – I worry about that with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we're not doing Jaguars daily, but I worry about that with him. Yeah. Like you got to make – he's got everything you want. But if he's put in a different system this year, which he's clearly going to be, and then if they don't hit on that, are you going to really put him in 3 systems in 3 years? I mean, it's just not a recipe for success.
Yeah, and like I said, I just think from the outside looking in, there has to be, you have to understand how much it takes from these players to have to learn something completely new and then rechange your mentality of how you're reading it. It's a lot. There's a lot to be said about consistency and scheme.
So the Kevin Stefanski that the world gets to see and that we even get to see when we're interviewing him is culture calm, very steady.
Yeah.
You get to know him a little bit behind closed doors, obviously. And so you're more privy to his emotions. If they do fluctuate at all, you would be able to know that probably better than us. He's a guy that I find to be incredibly analytical. You talk about scheme reviews, all of that. Has he kind of taken this season and said, all right, here's what we can do on the field, and even like to himself, because I'm sure this hurt him. I know how much he's such a competitor. To just kind of pull everything apart, look at everything. Is that kind of his mindset of, all right, we have the talent, we know we have the good scheme. How can we make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I think that was a challenge to put on the entire coaching staff, really. Let's pull this apart and take a look at it, from a bird's eye view now that we can, and let's find a way to get better. And obviously he's challenging himself in that regard too. And it's, you always, no matter really the outcome, you always find yourself in this self-scout part of the year once you're done with the season. And for us it's no different. Let's dig into what we were good at, let's dig into what we weren't so great at, and let's find a way to improve. And we're also it's the challenge of evaluating yourself as a coach. Can I teach better? Can I install better? Can I do those things? We're really looking under the hood in every capacity here, and we're looking inside ourselves as well, to find ways that we can be better for the players.
What's that kind of process like? Do you kind of do your own evaluation of yourself and say, here's what I think I could do better, here's what I think, I did well, and then kind of mesh that with other peer reviews, and then you guys try to get a plan together of how to be the person coach you want to be?
Yeah, it's kind of the part whole concept. So evaluating the part and then how the part plays into the whole. So that's yourself as a coach, and then that's how you're teaching, how we taught, how we installed, how we communicate, and then ultimately what the product on the field was and what was good, and so forth. So yeah, it's self-evaluation, it's your individual room evaluation, into your unit evaluation, into how we operated as a total team.
No one's going to feel sorry for us, obviously, but Nathan and I were talking about this after the end of the season. Did we have one game where we had the roster we intended? Fully healthy, every position the way that you thought it was going to be? We couldn't think of one.
Maybe.
Is it
Maybe Yeah.
But it wasn't early because we had guys down early. Delpa didn't start right away going. I mean, there were guys that were hurt from the beginning. I don't know if there was ever a game. I mean, again, Baltimore's not going to feel sorry for you. I mean, everybody deals with it. But usually
minus
you get
OBJ,
one.
It might have been that Baltimore game on Sunday night. Minus OBJ,
But you can't do that because we remember him at OTAs going, "Good Lord, look how good he looks." You were counting on that to be a part of it.
And Kareem got hurt against
Kareem got hurt. I don't know. I don't know that it ever happened
No.
this year. It was just a strange year in that regard of whether there was guys with COVID or injuries stacked up, whatever.
It's a lot of close games, and that's where you end up where you are. And by the way, I didn't know this for today. We were talking, you and I, February 2nd. Many people think Groundhog Day, and it's actually National Women in Sports Day.
Yes, it is.
So what does that mean to you? Why is that important to you?
Well, I think this should be celebrated every day.
Sure.
But, yeah, I think it's an important day because the exposure and the organizations who are being very forward in this progress of including women in sports, being able to be very proud of that. I think it's a day that everybody kind of gets to acknowledge the women who are involved, the women who want to get involved. I mean, for me, I always think about when we push the needle and we promote these things, I think about the young girls who get to see that and are like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this many women worked in this many organizations, and the exposure that you get, builds that. And again, it goes back to the saying that we always tag with this is if she can see it, she can be it. So, a day like today is important, and it's both sided. It's awesome for these organizations to show their appreciation for any women who are involved in sport in just any way and those who play sport. And then it's also an opportunity for any aspiring women who want to get involved to be able to see just how widespread that this is and this whole movement, if you will, has become.
I coached 8-year-old flag football this year.
Oh yeah,
and had a little girl. We won every game, of course. Had a little all we know out there, but had a little girl named Sis on my team.
Love it.
And what was so cool about it is, as kids get older, they get more cruel. But at 7, 8 years old, they're so innocent. Yeah. And not a single boy questioned anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. They didn't question any of it. She was just one of the guys, and she could run like the wind. And one of the cool things, and I used you as an example, her mom's on the board of the football organization out there, and I used you as an example of if she loves this, this is what's possible
Mm-hmm.
and more.
Yeah.
So that's got to be something. When you see that and you hear stories like that, that has to resonate.
It does.
in a very, very big way. I would think.
And I always think, like, when I hear examples of that, I actually went, I've watched a couple flag games over the years and seen some of the young ladies out there running around, and I've seen how, like, flag has grown from the high school ranks, and now it's like a collegiate sport in the NAIA. Like, you can actually, get a scholarship to go play flag football, which, like, 18-year-old Cali is, like, really envious of that right
Yeah,
now. But anyways, one of the things I think about, too, because you talk about being 7 and 8 and the boys don't question anything, it's like, then you have to start, like, looking at us as adults and saying, like, okay,
That's
well,
right.
where are they learning these things that then they start to say, why is she out here? Like, if it's not naturally within them at that point, where are they learning that women don't belong in football and so forth? So I think we as a society need to start asking ourselves those questions. Where are they learning these things? What are we creating from a barrier standpoint that is drawing these lines? So it's always inspiring to hear that, because I'm like, gosh, if the world could just be like it is for 7 and 8-year-olds all the way through, and we could just stop
I thought I was going to have
telling
to.
people what lane they belong in.
It
It's
was
just
so
it's
cool
crazy.
because honestly, I thought that I was going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought some of the boys would be like,
Yeah.
what are you doing here? Not one.
Yeah, I love
Not
that.
one. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Put Sis on the scouting
Yeah,
for
put Sis.
2032
Yeah,
U.S. Women's tackle
can fly.
national team.
I'm
She
telling
can
you.
fly
I
like the
love
wind.
it.
Speaking of, last time we had talked, it was the great announcement that you will be the head coach for the 2022 U.S. Women's Tackle National Team, which is going to play in Finland,
Yep.
which is awesome for the International Federation of
Have you been
American
to
Football. You're a gold medal winner on the team. Now
Yeah.
you're coaching. So one of the things we talked about last time was, and I've seen you tweeting out, and let's get some tryouts,
Yeah.
get the people in. Where are we at here? Do we have any coaches? Do we got the core? Did you
Yeah.
convince? I know there's an old timer that you're trying to lure out of retirement to come back. Where do we stand with these things?
Yeah, so coaching staff is intact. Very proud of it. It's myself and a couple other coaches who I've worked with in the women's game, and then I'm very proud of the fact that I have 3 other women on staff. So a ton of pride in that, and just ultimately I took my time in that process because I think it's important. And the people that I ended up with, it's incredible. I'm very proud of this group and excited to see the team that we get to put together. So that's kind of where we're at. Staff's done, and now we're putting all the plan in place, and women are registering and signing up right now for trials that will be in March down in Bradenton, Florida.
Okay.
And, we're really excited for it. So we're expecting a big group, and we just get to spend 2 days evaluating the best ballers in the country. And that to me is like, that's heaven. So I'm excited. So we'll get to that point, and then we'll select the team, and then we'll all get back together in July for training camp, and then we're wheels up to Helsinki.
Now, is there any way, the most important, all of this stuff has been very important, but you also are the owner of one of the hoodies. And
Oh, boy.
we have tried with Mr. Mellon to buy him off. We've tried to
Brad Mellon,
incentivize
Pursuit
him.
of Perfection. The
Brad
award.
Mellon, Pursuit of
Every
Perfection,
week.
which we do every week. We hand that out
Yeah.
every week. We've tried to shower him with kindness. Various acts have taken place, and yet it doesn't feel like we're getting any closer.
It's not my department. All I can say is the hoodie is earned, not given, and I checked that box in some capacity. It's a badge of honor, if you will, and I'm sorry if I'm making it hurt even worse
What
because
hurts
you
is
haven't
just-
met the criteria, but
I
it's
just am not someone who's ever earned anything.
Oh,
So it just
so
doesn't
this is going to be
feel-
hard for you. This is going to be
be a
be
long
See,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like Bob Wiley, and what about Bob? I'm baby stepping. I'm doing the work. I'm not a slacker. Give me.
Yeah.
I need.
Listen, I mean,
Sad.
when the moment comes, you'll know.
right.
That's all I can leave you with on that one.
Great talking to you.
Thanks for having me,
Thanks.
guys.
It was a pleasure.
Cali Brownson, Chief of Staff for your Cleveland Browns. Coming up at the top of the hour, we go around the league. Lots going on the NFL side of things. Coaching, comings, and goings. We get into all of that here on a First Friday. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau here for Char Whiskey Bar and Grill in Rocky River. Over 300 whiskeys, craft cocktails paired with made-from-scratch menu items. The whiskey list is incredible at Char.
You know this.
I know this. Catch the game of the week at the Char Bar. Enjoy date night with craft cocktails or a glass of wine and a nice steak, perhaps. Check out Char's new winter menu, including a duck breast dinner, seafood pasta, Japanese A5 Wagyu strip steak. Dine in, carry out for brunch, lunch, or dinner. Support local. Visit Char Whiskey Bar and Grill in Rocky River or at charrockyriver.com as we go around the league. I was curious. The Bengals are the home team in the Super Bowl, but they are going to wear black over white, the traditional black over white. I thought for sure they would be in their cocaine whites.
Why would they not be in the Walters, dude?
I don't know, man.
The whites.
I don't know.
They just beat the Bengals.
So the Steelers did this when they made their
Chiefs,
run with Cowher and then Tomlin. They went in as wild card teams, so they were in the white. So even as they were the home teams in the Super Bowl, they chose to wear white. So Cincinnati could have done that.
I thought it was
and would have given us a gorgeous Super Bowl matchup with them at the orange hat and the all white, and the Rams presumably in what they wore last weekend. But instead, it will be the Bengals in black over white, and then the Rams. Do we know what they're wearing?
Are they in the bone?
They may not be in that bone sand.
I have not seen that yet.
I hope that they're in the white with the yellow breeches. That would be my hope. That's the best that they can do if they can't wear the blue jersey.
Why in the world would they not wear those Walters?
I don't know.
You go on the road and you beat the Titans in them. You go on the road, you beat the Chiefs in them, and
they're
the
great.
stripes actually all make sense on those.
Yeah. Yeah, because to your point, and it's an astute one as a fellow uniform nerd as I am, that the black uniform with the stripes on the shoulders, the shoulder striping doesn't match the pants striping.
Right.
Which is crazy that they didn't do that, but they do on the all whites, so they will be in black over white. I think the only way the Rams can land the plane on this is to wear – they can't wear that bone color. They're going to have to wear – or sand or whatever it is.
They might, dude. They love that.
That thing is awful. Those are awful. You got to wear white over yellow.
Speaking of real quickly of the Rams, did you notice or did you see, and I didn't see it at the time of the game, but afterwards, there was a good 3 to 5 minute embrace between Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods.
I did see that.
It was awesome.
It was.
Like, I didn't even know what they were saying, but I could imagine in my mind, and it was beautiful. I love Robert Woods, and he's a big loss for that team, and for them to overcome it due to just the greatness of Kupp and what Odell's brought them is incredible, but he's a guy that you wish you could see, in there.
Well, his injury, Odell became a necessity, not a luxury, was his injury. But he was great. He's great. No, I mean, that's, those you think about the guys who have been through a lot to be at this point. There's, and it seems like, okay, we're all on the Rams now, and it's a glamour team. But, I mean, Stafford, all those years in Detroit, Woods, on some uncertain teams there. It's a fun team. It's a really fun Super Bowl, I think. I think it's going to be a really fun Super Bowl to see there. Some news from a coaching standpoint, Jim Harbaugh in Minnesota. John U. Bacon, who's just dialed in on all things Michigan, believes that if he is offered a contract, he'll sign it. But that's not the thing that was most newsy to me. What was newsy to me is Bacon was reporting that there was minority ownership with the Wilfs that were trying to convince them not to hire Harbaugh, whereas Kwesi is an advocate for hiring Harbaugh from their time in San Francisco. And if it'll be kind of a matter of who has more pull, our guy Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah or the new general manager or this minority owner in Minnesota who did not have a good experience with Harbaugh when they were all in San Francisco.
So that's an interesting one, and I would think that if you had decided that Kwesi is the guy to lead your organization, you need to let him make this hire.
Agreed.
And if the guy in his mind is Harbaugh based on the fact they were together in 2013 and 14 in San Francisco, and that's who Kwesi believes is the right guy, then I think you do that. You don't – a minority owner who had a bad – I think Kwesi's experience, because he's been brought here to run your football operation, is more important. Now, it seems interesting to me, and I don't know the history of their relationship, but that knowing what I know of Kwesi and his culture of calm and his demeanor and everything about it, it doesn't feel like they would be rowing the same boat the way that Kevin and AB do or that Kevin and Kwesi would be.
No.
So that is an interesting one.
The first time I met Kwesi was last Friday
Yeah.
And I've been in the same room to interview Harbaugh several times. No, that doesn't seem like a fit in any way. Harbaugh is an awkward dude, but this is the other thing that I think could be the case. Harbaugh is a pretty good leader of men, and we saw that from his time in San Francisco. And if they are heading into a true rebuild there, and they're going to move off of Cousins, and they're going to go young and maybe draft a quarterback, and maybe although Harbaugh has not developed quarterbacks at Michigan to save his life, he did do a tremendous job with Kaepernick early on there. They've got Kellen Mond, who's kind of a dual threat quarterback out of Texas A&M. Maybe the thinking from Kwesi is, hey, I saw him do this with Kaepernick. That's not giving Kaepernick credit for how great he was before the injury and how athletic he was before the injury. How he was an ultimate weapon before the injury. He could do everything, and Kellen Mond is not that. But that's, as I'm just trying to make sense of it. I mean, to me, it makes no sense at all. But it's even less sense having met Kwesi last Friday. Makes someone less sense. So there must be something that he's seeing, and that's the best I can do to connect those dots.
Perhaps an interaction that they had together that he really enjoyed, or the way that he knew that maybe what I would call the intensity or the craziness it can appear that Harbaugh has, that maybe behind closed doors he's a significantly more sensible and intellectual person. I mean,
he's definitely a deep thought guy. Like he wants to. He's inquisitive and he's curious. He's just he's a different dude. He's a different dude, So, but maybe if you have a young team, you think that there's something to that.
So John Harbaugh was having a press conference today to introduce his new defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald,
who was on Jim's staff in Michigan a year ago.
And I think before that was on the Ravens staff.
Yes,
lost the DC job to Wink Martindale.
Yep.
Is he interviewing in Minnesota? Is that the rumor? I think he's in Minnesota. I think he's the best. If the Vikings are smart enough to get that done, then they made a very wise choice, Harbaugh said today.
Jim Harbaugh played quarterback at Michigan. He is the sitting head coach at Michigan. Today is National Signing Day. It's not as important as it was in 2017 before they went to the early signing day in December, but nevertheless, it is still National Signing Day, and he's interviewing for a Minnesota job, and his brother, by the way, of the same father, who was a coach for Beau Schembechler at Michigan, is advocating for him to take that job. All the while, the University of Michigan is going, yeah, we're cool with this. We're cool. Can you imagine? Just imagine, if you will, and we'll take Ohio State out of it. Imagine if Kevin Stefanski was like, you know what, I think there's an itch in me that I'd really like to coach in college. Do you guys mind if I floated out there that I want to coach in college? Because that's what's happened. This has been very overt.
And he's going to do it
I want to coach in college.
First day of free agency.
And while we're preparing for our off-season free agency, I'm going to take an interview at Alabama because I'd like to replace Saban. And then if that doesn't work, I'd love to come back. That's what's happened. And Michigan is fine with it. It's a stunning. I've never 20 years around big-time college football, I've never seen anything like it.
So they had a roundtable this morning on Get Up, Feinbaum, and then who is the national college football reporter? Heather
Dinich.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was on. And they both said the leading candidate is the OC if he leaves. But then
That's
Feinbaum.
Josh Gaddis.
And then Feinbaum goes, I wouldn't rule out Matt Rule.
He keeps pushing that Matt Rule thing.
He does push that.
I mean, he played at Penn State. There would be some – he was good at Baylor. Maybe he says, I can't win here the way that I wanted to, or I don't like the pro game. I want to control things more like I could do it in the colleges. Not similar academically, but, Baylor is a decent school, and so maybe that he was there, had success. I don't know. I would say Matt Campbell would be call 1A as Luke Fickell, and then we can get into Matt Rule after that. And if they talk about Josh Gaddis, if you're going to roll the dice on a guy on that staff, it's Mike Hart. That's who you roll the dice on. And I know he hasn't been a coordinator, but he's a Michigan man. He's got – it doesn't – who coordinates? Give me the best players.
Yeah.
And Hart would be able to recruit it. I don't know if that Gaddis –
according to conspiracy theorist S, no way Luke Fickell would even take the call.
I could –
well –
incorrect.
Yeah.
Yes. He would take the call. Incorrect.
It's interesting because they tried downplaying it this morning. Like the University of Michigan was like, our guys are already in, our commitments are already in, and I'm thinking to myself, I think I'd be doing damage control right now.
The class mostly is in because most of it was signed in December. That's not even the issue. The issue to me is if you're at a place like Michigan, how do you allow somebody to go look for another job and still be employed with you? If you're at the University of Michigan, you should view that as this is the best job in football, not that there's a better job out there.
Yep.
You could argue that that is as good as any job in football. It's an $8-9 million a year job. You can win everything there. You can recruit there, all the history, all the things that you want. It's not as good a job as Ohio State, but it's a really good job. Really good job.
They have – okay, answer this. This is, again, coming from my ignorance. It does not feel like they are capable of recruiting on the level of the SEC schools and certainly Ohio State.
No one's ever tried there. Harbaugh doesn't try. Harbaugh isn't recruiting Ohio.
Why?
Great question.
Luke
It all
Fickell
comes
could recruit Ohio.
Yeah, so could Matt Campbell. It all goes back, I think, to a recruit named Zach Harrison. I don't want to bog down it. 5-star kid out of the Columbus area that thought they had. And at the last minute, he went to Ohio State. And ever since then, Harbaugh's punted on Ohio. He won't recruit it. So, I mean, I don't know. I know this. When you think about what matters in recruiting, like use the Ohio State example. What matters in recruiting is, can you get me to the pros?
Michigan can.
Michigan can get you to the pros. Will you be is this a brand that if you're good, you can cash in with name, image, and likeness?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I would argue that we're all in our 40s, that it's probably as recognizable a brand in college sports as there is Michigan. Michigan, North Carolina, like it didn't matter. We grew up out west. You go to any sporting goods store when we were kids, you could get a Carolina and a Michigan jersey. Yep. They were there for sure. You didn't see Buckeye stuff.
Oh, no. Not at all.
Notre Dame,
definitely
Michigan, North Carolina, those are the schools that you saw.
Duke.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was basketball-driven solely. But do you think – let's take Tom Brady, for example. Do you think somebody like that would ever say, hey, let me help you get some recruits and restore the prestige to this program?
Well, he did. He did. In fact, that's the irony of all of this. Jim Harbaugh did a thing called Day with the Stars with one of his first recruiting classes that Brady was there, Derek Jeter was there, Chuck Woodson was there. Those guys were all there.
Woo!
Ric Flair.
Thank you.
By the way, he was in Lubbock last night.
Yeah.
Is he just like a woo for hire?
Yes. Yeah. He's wooed all over this country for hire.
He's woo for hire.
Niners, he's done it for. He's done it for the Panthers.
He's done it in Columbus.
Charlotte. Of course, yeah.
So I just was wondering, like, where does he root for anybody or does he root for anybody? Because he was in Lubbock. Texas played Texas Tech last night in hoops. Chris Beard, the longtime coach at Texas Tech, went back as the coach at Texas. Crazy environment. And
it was
Flair.
And I didn't even know any of it. And I saw for like 2 seconds on SportsCenter. It was bonkers.
It was.
It felt like a wrestling environment.
Yeah, it was. It was
but
pretty crazy.
Didn't he put, and this is, again, my remedial understanding of the situation, but he helped elevate the Texas Tech program significantly and now use that as a springboard, but they're in a much better place because he was there than him not being there, right?
He single-handedly did that.
Right. So why the hate?
They played for a basketball.
A lot of Gibbeys down
it's
there.
a lot of the LeBron thing. He single-handedly is responsible for them playing for a national championship. Texas Tech played for a national championship in basketball against Virginia.
Yeah.
That happened.
That's right.
So who knows? But anyway, we'll see where this goes. It's absolutely surreal what is happening there. Former Patriot quarterbacks, Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo in the news. We will get to that coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau Bishop, my friends at EOX Vantage. EOX Vantage connects core systems that don't talk, from reportings and analytics to insight and decision-making, gaining a more real-time, complete picture of your business. You can eliminate those Excel nightmares that are giving you headaches from your processes, visualize your important data in one place, gain real-time insight to make data-driven decisions on performance through role-based visualization dashboards. With EOX Vantage, you can benefit from lower overall costs, better alignment between technology and specific business needs, scalability, ease of deployment, and management. EOX Vantage makes your data work smarter to move your business forward. You're about growth. Your software should be too. With EOX Vantage, your company will scale effortlessly. Check them out, www.eoxvantage.com. A couple former Patriot quarterbacks making news. Jimmy Garoppolo saying that he has spoken with John Lynch about trying to be sent to a winning situation, which I thought was pretty interesting. The Steelers were the favorite to land him on Monday when this was all dropped.
And the football team. Now the Commanders.
The Commies were up there too.
He might be the commander of the Commies.
That's right. Boy, if I'm him, I would go south. Go south, young man. Go to the NFC South. Sort it out down there.
Go to New Orleans, play in a dome. Go to Tampa.
Carolina.
Tampa would be great. I don't think he would want to follow Brady.
No, I'm sure not. But the rest of those are all.
Yeah.
The rest of those are all pretty good. Gibby wants to know, is there anyone who could match Tom Brady's legacy, who has the best chance? Does anyone? CBS Sports breaks down the candidates to match the legacy. Statistically, yes. Accomplishments, no.
No, in no way,
statistically,
shape, or form.
He'll be lapped because you're going to add 18 games.
Yeah.
And, everything from 2000 and, I don't know, what do you think the cutoff is? Like, when did the NFL get really into paying attention to concussions and not allowing hits over the middle? Is that like the late 2008, 9, 10, something like that, where it really became an emphasis?
Yeah.
I think anything statistically before that is avocados compared to apples after.
Sure.
I just think it's – so you're going to have guys – you go to an 18-game season, you're going to have guys throw for 6,000 yards.
Yes.
So statistically, he will get caught.
Let's look at this. Lamar Jackson, 0%. Strike him from the list.
Wait, are you doing – are we doing statistical, or are you just doing champion? Because I think he's got two legacies. He's got the statistical achievement, which is out there right now. He's got every single passing record of note, except for I think Manning still has the single season touchdowns and maybe yards.
Okay.
But everything else he has. He has all the career achievements that you can have. He broke them all. He took them all from Breeze. Breeze took them from Manning. So he has all of those.
Fine.
So there's that, and then there's the winning legacy. And this one, I don't even think it's ever going to be possible.
Well,
10 Super Bowls.
Lamar's never going to come close to us either.
No, I think from a passing yard, from a statistic, which ones it's going to be from a statistical. It's Mahomes, it's Herbert, it's Burrow, it's who else would be in that mix?
How close is Rodgers right now?
Long ways off. Because he also doesn't get the benefit of having played the majority of his career in this. It's going to be somebody young. I think probably from a yardage standpoint, I bet you Stafford is in the mix because he's got he's got a couple big yardage games, and he played so many games because he was rarely hurt, Gibbe, in Detroit. He's still a long ways off. I mean, but you're talking if he plays the next 10 years of his career with 18-game seasons in L.A. with that offense.
10 more years? I mean, he's at – just to put this into perspective for people, Brady's at 84,520.
84.5. What'd you say? 84?
Yeah, 520. Aaron Rodgers is at 55,000.
Yeah.
Stafford's at 49,000.
Okay. So you're 45 out, so that's 9 seasons of 5.
Would you have had?
If you go to an 18-game season, though, that's not that hard.
He's still got to play for a long time.
10 years.
Matt Ryan's at 59,000. Matt Ryan's actually second, is highest among all active quarterbacks.
He's older than you think, though, right?
Yeah, he is.
Isn't
Stafford's
he
been around for a while too, though.
But isn't Stafford like 32?
Is he?
33?
Is that it?
I think he's younger than. I think he's like 3 years younger than Ryan. I could be wrong.
I feel like the body could break down.
Rodgers is 38 already. Stafford's 30, about to turn 34.
Okay, so he could play. He's not going to get there because 8 years, you can't see him playing to 42.
No, he's not going to. I don't know how anybody can play the number of years that Brady has.
So that's it.
Well, you don't need the total because you're going to get more games, and you're going to get – what you need is those Herbert guys. You need Herbert, Mahomes. Like Mahomes has a trajectory that is probably would allow for it.
Passing touchdowns, though, he's at 624. Stafford's at 323.
No. That's never.
Never.
That's got to be a Mahomes-Herbert type situation.
Yeah. So, like, Mahomes needed to win one of these other ones the last 4 years, I think, to be able to get there and to be in that mix. He needed to win 2 of these, and he's going to have 1. And that's going to be hard. The fact that Aaron Rodgers has just 1 Super Bowl is
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the winning will be like Bill Russell. No one will ever do it. I mean, Russell's got 11 championships.
Yogi Berra's got what, 10?
Yeah,
in
that
baseball?
those are impossible to stop. Mahomes is, what is he, 25?
You know what I love about the CBS?
He's got
article?
19,000 yards. He's at 19,000 yards passing right now. He's 26 years old. He's averaging like 4,600, but he missed that first year too, which is critical. It
Right, he's
makes
only
it
done
hard
that
on
4
him.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it hard on him. He's just under 4,500 yards a season average,
basically.
So you got to, if you do that for another 10 years, that's not close.
No.
He needs to do it for 15 years.
Burrow wins this Super Bowl. That will be very helpful to him having a chance to get after it because I think he's going to put up big numbers. I mean, Herbert's never even been to the playoffs yet.
No, that's what I mean. I think you have to you really have to separate statistical accumulation from winning.
I like that they put as one of the other candidates in here, Arch Manning. I mean, am I wrong? He's in high school.
He's not even a senior in high school yet. He's a junior in high school. By the way, for all the parents out there that think your kid has to play just one sport, he's playing multiple sports.
Yeah.
He plays basketball and baseball. So Herbert, okay, now we're talking. So Justin Herbert is 23.
Okay.
He's thrown for 10,000 yards by the time he's 23.
Mm-hmm.
So it means less 93.50. But he threw for 5,000 yards this year. Now you're talking. I mean, he could play if he plays for 20 years.
He could break some of these records.
He would be somebody who would have an opportunity to do it. But
Yep.
I mean, they're so far out there.
There's so many years to go. Yeah.
No one will ever touch the winning though.
No.
Nobody will ever play in 10 Super Bowls and win 7.
Oh,
never.
I mean, you just talked about it. Mahomes has won 1 in 4.
Yeah.
4 chances
There's
to win the AFC Championship game.
There's no chance that anybody even gets close. I don't even.
Rodgers won 1.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
hard.
what would you guys put? Mahomes is 26. What would you put his over/under on Super Bowls won in his career?
right now you'd probably put it at 2.5.
Right.
I would say 3.5, but
He's got to get going. Man. He's about ready to lose Kelsey and I mean, how long can they keep going at that level that they're playing
Kelsey
at? I mean,
never misses games.
Never. No.
And that's got to stop at some point.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like Burrow has a chance. Now he's older. He's in like 25. I think Joe's like 25 because he was a 5-year guy. So I think he might be like 25 years old. But if he were to get a title now, then that opens him up to get into a conversation. But here's the thing. At the time Rodgers won his first Super Bowl, you would have said he's going to win 3 or 4.
And he
hasn't even played in another one.
It's hard, man. Guy played in the conference. Now, Mahomes has done this, right? He's in the 4 years that he's been the quarterback, he's played in the conference championship all 4 years.
Right.
Brady was in the conference championship 70%, 14 out of 20 healthy seasons. So Mahomes could maybe do that, which is impressive, but it feels like they're on the precipice a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe they're going to just keep it running. But I mean, like the Bills went to the 4 straight Super Bowls, and then that was it. And it is hard to do. It's hard to stay consistently good. It really is very, very difficult. Yeah, Burrow's 25 already.
That's what I thought.
The thing.
So Herbert's the one. Statistically, he's the one that you'd latch onto and say he's got opportunity. Yeah.
Little college football news.
What do you got?
From Bruce Feldman. Danny Lewis, the recruit who Brian Kelly danced behind and helped get over 8 million views on this video, picking Alabama over LSU.
Good.
Welcome to the SEC, Brian.
Good. That was hard to watch.
Yeah.
It was
Why would he think that is good?
It was disturbing.
He's been doing that. Remember when he did the fake Southern accent down there?
Everything.
My family. He's from Boston.
I find him to be as off-putting and greasy.
Squirm-inducing.
Gross.
Yeah, he is. I don't know what.
Like, I wonder how we've had a lot of guys. I would love to ask, like, Jarvis or Odell, like, what do you think about what you're seeing right now at LSU? Do you like that?
It can't possibly.
Right? I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. And there's nothing that leads you to believe that he's going to be some sort of innovator down there. I think they panicked because I think they thought they were going to get Lincoln Riley, and then Lincoln Riley went to USC, and they panicked and felt we got to get somebody hired before National Signing Day, the first one in December, and that's how they ended up where they ended up. Absolutely wild. No, yeah, Brady's it's Cy Young. It's not going to be there's no attaining it. We'll play a little higher lower coming up next with the Super Bowl halftime shows. This will be fun. We look forward to that. It's coming up next. Just to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Football isn't football without friends. Watching the Browns alone means no one's going to hear your amazing in-game analysis, and the same is true when gambling. Keep things social. Never gamble alone. It's one of the helpful, responsible gambling tips you'll find at keepitfunohio.com. Time for a little higher or lower, presented by the Ohio Lottery. Hello, Gibby.
Hi, boys. How we doing?
Yeah.
Nothing bad out there yet, right?
No,
When's this happening? It was supposed to be happening.
10 o'clock.
I think it's going to be a 24-hour event.
Do you really? That's what your models are showing?
Yeah. It all depends. So it's like a swath coming up from Texas. So you take a look at it and you're like, if you're on one side, like all the schools in Northwest Ohio were closed today.
Like the Toledo, yeah.
Sandusky, everything was closed up there.
Oh, because it's been happening there all day?
It started raining at like 8 a.m. this morning, and by 1 o'clock, it's all supposed to be turning into an ice storm. But that's
so worried about
north
buses
and west of us.
Sure. So is it gonna? But is it a swath that's like the whole length of the country's coming, and there's no way to avoid it?
So the way that it's moving, it's coming up from the southwest, going northeast, and right now we're on this. It looks like we're going to be on the snow side. I don't even want to know.
What type of accumulation can I look forward to?
That's the one thing that no one seems to be able to figure out. It sounds like anywhere from 8 inches to 16 inches.
So what's crazy, though, is when this was all started at the beginning of the week, the thinking was that because we still have like 18 inches of snow over there. And that this would be like that, and then it would be ice, and then another that on top of it. But this has taken a lot of it down. This rain is cutting into a lot of the snow.
See, the question becomes, how quickly do the temperatures drop? If it drops suddenly as opposed to becoming an ice storm, you're going to have limited ice. But
what is it out there right now? Isn't it still like 40?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Look, you can see a great deal of moisture. There's a ton of snow has melted already.
I will say this, just looking at this, it looks like Saruman's eye is headed for us. So that's
great reference.
Doesn't it look like that?
Great reference. Good for you.
It's an impressive line.
Saruman.
If you cut Frodo and the other kid out of it,
Samwise Gamgee.
That's what I did. I haven't watched those in like 15 years, and I just
good.
blew through those kids every time they were on. I just blew through it. So
it's
great.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam.
Oh God.
Is this Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. Great films.
I refuse to watch this.
Oh, they're masterpieces.
They're great. Oh my gosh,
Academy
incredibly
Award
thrilling.
They won Return of the King won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Yeah, I mean, they're great.
I saw
probably that one should have ended though. Probably crowning and then
that's it.
That's it. We don't need to go back.
You didn't want to go back to the
Shire. No, I'm good.
Yeah, the scourging of the Shire. Nobody needed that. Apparently, that was a big thing for Tolkien. He wanted that in there. Nobody needed that.
Nobody needed it.
Crown the King. Happy. Let's be happy.
That's it. Yeah.
We overcame darkness, evil.
Yeah.
Let's just go celebrate for a little bit. Let's enjoy this win.
Way too long.
How about the dock in Deadwood? Was Grey Worm in that?
That's right.
Is that his name? Grey Worm? With the little worm?
Grima Wormtongue.
There you go. Grey Worm was in Game of Thrones.
Yes, he was. He was the guy who had poisoned the king of the Rohirrim.
Yeah. Right. Good job out of you. All right, Gibby, what do you have?
So, in coming up with a power poll, there's only 2 teams left playing, so obviously those are going to be the top 2 teams in any power poll.
Love it.
I like it.
You know,
I like what you did here. You don't have to defend it. I think it's
you're
brilliant.
A huge P. Own it.
I mean, we're technically into Super Bowl preview time, so why not start with NBC Sports and their ranking of the 10 best Super Bowl halftime shows ahead of Super Bowl 2022, or Super Bowl 56, as we like to call it, brought to you by our great friends at the Ohio Lottery.
So has any one that in your guys' memory got you as anticipated and excited as this one has the potential to be? This Dre Snoop setup that we got looking forward to on Sunday?
I'm a big U2 fan, so I was excited for that, and obviously after 9/11 it had added meaning. But nobody
more
knew excited for the halftime show this year possibly than the game itself.
That was the first Super Bowl I was at, was the one U2 performed at, Rams and Patriots. So the pregame, Paul McCartney sang, he had written some song post 9/11, so Paul McCartney sang there in the pregame. Then Mariah Carey sang the national anthem.
Sheesh.
And then U2 played at halftime. Now, nobody had any idea that U2 was going to do what it did. And I will say that it's one of the most awesome things that I've ever seen in my life, period, ever, because I know that it's on this list. I just want to make sure that I get this right from the timeline standpoint. Yes, I do. That's what I thought. So they open with Beautiful Day. They close. They only played 3 songs, but they close with Where the Streets Have No Name.
Yep.
And when that banner unfurled, you didn't even know what it was. You had no point of reference what it was. And then you realize it was the name of everybody who died on 9/11.
Yep.
So that took they took the air out of your chest.
Oh, yeah.
As they were doing that.
Absolutely.
So there was no preparation for that. All the rest of these, there are these moments. What U2 did was you can't compare that to Prince played 7 songs or 8 songs. Like, they did 3 songs. They did
3.
Beautiful Day, MLK, and Where the Streets Have No Name. But that moment when you unfurled that banner, and it went, if memory served, it went from like the 30 to the 30 in my mind's eye, or the 40 to the, it was huge.
Massive, yeah.
From the roof of the
I do
Superdome.
remember that.
Yeah, you could read it on the roof, couldn't you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was inside. I only could see it on the scroll.
Yeah, no, from inside, I thought you could see it. Did it go all the way up to the roof?
It dropped.
Yes,
it was at the roof, and it dropped. And you just went, what is this? Like, you had no idea. And then to do that, and there was so much around it. There were those Tomahawk helicopters everywhere. George W. Bush was there. Like, that was a crazy Super Bowl in general. So.
It was.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Almost from the roof.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So I was at number 2 on this list. So were you. I was at number 5 on this list. I was at number 2 on this list. And I think the other one was actually Paul McCartney. Was it the other Super Bowl I was at? I think it was Paul McCartney. What I would say is
I was at 5, right?
In general, yeah. You were at number 5.
You want to start at 1 and work your way down to 10?
Well, what I was just going to say, one of the things I was going to say about this was these. Well, you were probably at the other one. You were probably at the other New Orleans one.
No, I didn't say for the Super Bowl. That's what I would say. Yeah.
In the Beyonce one, which is 3.
One.
Yeah. So what I found is, U2, Madonna, Beyonce, McCartney. U2 is the only one that felt like an actual rock concert because the others it's synthesized. So, like, it's not for you in the stadium. It's for you on TV. Right. 100 million people watch it. But U2, it felt like a concert. Like, the audio was great. And on the others, the audio was not great in the building.
I did think that the Madonna one, which is the only one that I was there live for, was awesome, though. I thought.
But did you think the audio was good? Because I thought the audio was terrible.
I just remember thinking when the choir was out there for like a prayer at the end, it was amazing. And then remember she had that like slackline dancer.
Yeah.
And that person was doing stuff that was just hard for my mind to get hard for my head to get around because it was just so impressive.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Gibby. There's the preamble.
I guess we'll start at number 1. Go ahead, Nick.
Higher or lower?
Prince. Higher, lower, just right. 2007, Dolphin Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. Beau?
This was in a rainstorm, so he's singing Purple Rain in the rain.
That's right. A downpour. A deluge.
Yeah. This is sensational. So he plays We Will Rock You, Let's Go Crazy, Baby I'm a Star, Proud Mary, 1999, All Along the Watchtower, Best of You, Purple Rain. He played 7 songs, for God's sakes, in this thing in 15 minutes. It's ridiculous. And to do Purple Rain, I also think for the kids, it was because I don't know if the kids were aware of the musician he was, that he could play all this stuff. I don't know if people realize that. I think most people probably thought he was like Michael Jackson, where he just was a vocalist, and then he did this. You can't argue with this. The only one I would argue is U2, and that's just more of the significance of the moment.
Zegura?
Yeah, I'm fine with it at number 1. It's the way I look at it is what do I actually remember caring about, and Prince was always awesome. Pedro was a big Prince guy, so we always had Prince on in the house.
God,
so
was
it was
he really?
Yeah. So that was that one was pretty good. He liked a lot of good music. I thought he had pretty good
Renaissance
taste.
man.
He is a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
Like if I were to say off the top of my head when I was thinking of my youth of the 5 bands or people's music that was on in our house would have been The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, The Eurythmics,
Fantastic.
Prince, and it's probably those 4. I don't have like a 5th that came to my mind, but those 4 were
amazing.
For sure the top 4 in the house.
God bless Pedro.
Yeah.
Next.
Maybe the Animals,
Higher or lower?
which were pretty good. House of the Rising Sun. Come on. It's
Good
been the
tune.
ruin of many a.
U2
boy.
was number 2 on that list. We can't deny that. Number 3, Beyonce from 2013 in New Orleans.
I was there. She looked sensational. You knew all the songs. This was one that was terrible. This was the worst of any of them
Audio.
from an audio standpoint. It was, you really couldn't even, in the building, you couldn't hear her. So I have no idea what it was like on television. What are your guys' recollection of the television side of it? Played a lot of songs.
By the way, I don't really have much of a recollection of that one. I think I was watching the game, and I remember I was watching with the kid. It was a snowstorm here. I had just gotten back. The kid had just broken his leg, and so it was like his first foray out of his house, and we had to watch it. And I remember our DirecTV was out, so we found, like, back then a stream of it, and we're able to watch it on, like,
Some sort of
TV
stream.
through a stream.
Yeah.
So I don't have a great recollection of that.
Do we know how he broke his leg, and can we talk about that on the air?
Yeah, it was really sad. He was just out. I think he was either taking his dog out or taking the garbage out, and on the ice on his driveway, slipped and went up in the air. And when he came down, snapped femur,
Eh?
like bad.
Gosh, you hate to hear that out of the kid.
Yeah,
Well, it's going to be icy.
you got to be real careful. I'm always real careful after that.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Aerosmith and NSYNC were number 4, Madonna number 5. So we'll go with Madonna at Lucas Oil Stadium in 2012. Higher, lower, or just right? LMFAO, Cirque du Soleil, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, Cirque du Soleil was a
MIA,
slackline person.
CeeLo Green.
Yeah.
Like a Prayer with the Choir is what I remember, and the slackline person. That's what I remember the most.
I remember like a prayer pretty vividly watching it. The audio was okay here. I can't imagine it was better than Aerosmith and NSYNC with all of the things they did. I mean, they played so many songs. I guess it's behind them on the list.
Britney
Is it-
Spears
is it-
showed up. We're talking 2001. I mean,
I don't remember this.
Britney was there.
Yeah, Britney was there with Aerosmith and NSYNC. That's the Janet
Yeah.
one, right?
Is
or
that when she
a
was
secondary
dating
one?
Justin Timberlake?
Yeah, but is this the one where Janet Jackson comes out, or was that a
No, that's her
one?
own one that doesn't make the list, which is where I have a
is the
problem with
most
this list. It should be
famous,
number 1
infamous-
because it's the most right. It's
Yeah.
the most famous, yet also the most El Guapo of all of these.
Yeah.
Like, it is the one that I remember the most by a mile,
Yeah.
vividly.
Yes, and in real time going, did that just happen? Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I
it did.
believe that it did. I believe that did just happen.
My dad was in town for that Super Bowl.
Like, I remember the Springsteen one. I remember Born to Run. I remember them playing Born to Run and thinking and Stevie, because that was just after The Sopranos, and when he was playing Syl and just crushing Born to Run, I remember that being quite strong at number 6. I have no recollection of Michael Jackson.
None.
In the Rose Bowl?
93? None.
Yeah, I don't have any idea about Michael Jackson. Next.
Isn't it?
Higher or lower?
Shakira, Jennifer Lopez,
Yeah.
number 8 on the list.
It was a good one.
2020.
They brought it.
They
home.
brought it
I mean, that
big.
was strong. I remember it was like remember just thinking the effort on this is through the roof.
Yep.
And you didn't realize maybe how many of their songs you knew.
Also, yes.
Yeah, and I remember Shakira just being like
A force.
a.
That's a great way to put
That's
it.
a perfect way to put it.
She was a force.
She was a comet. I mean, it was. Holy cow! Did she? And then the Waka Waka song at the end. That was. Yeah, no, that's true.
I felt, and when you look in album sales, Shakira's actually, I think, way higher than most people would maybe think in terms of her international appeal.
Way up there,
Way
yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
She's I mean, she's incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's stunning to me that she's not regarded. I mean, clearly she got to the Super Bowl with J-Lo, but I mean, she was, yeah. She might have had, if you were to take what your notion of was somebody coming into a Super Bowl performance and then what your notion of them, and this is like not past her prime, that's the wrong way to say it, but it wasn't
Well,
like
probably was past her prime
in
because
terms
she
of
was,
her peak. I'll say her peak.
She
right.
did that wherever, whenever song like
what
that's
a song.
15 years
Yeah.
ago
Oh,
when she
yeah.
did that, or maybe better.
College.
I was in college. I was
gosh,
living in
it was
Atlanta.
Even
in
longer than
college.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you would. I remember that was so catchy, and I didn't know who she was before that.
Whenever we're meant to be together.
So good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, strong
That's-
video presence as well.
And
on
then
that,
she
if I
just comes
remember
out there, and I mean, I felt like it was just,
right. Yeah, she just.
and it wasn't even a cameo. She was full on.
It was her. Yep, rocket ship.
By the way, one that I feel like should be a nominee for the top 10 is Tom Petty.
Oh, that was
Yes,
a fun one.
that was
Tom
a great
Petty
one.
was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes only an. I mean, I thought that like the weekend last year. I didn't even think Bruno
I thought
Mars.
it was fine.
It was
I
fine
just
when he
wasn't,
gets
like-
lost in or pretends to be lost in the shiny room. Meh.
Now,
Bruno Mars.
I will say this: the next final one. Go ahead, Nick.
Higher or
I
lower?
feel like Lady Gaga should be top 5.
I just think she's like the greatest singer,
She's
performer,
one of the best entertainers.
entertainers that you'll
Period.
find. Yeah,
No doubt.
And what I like about her, you talk about Shakira bringing it. Anytime she does anything, like if she's on Howard Stern, she sings like she's singing on the Oscars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the effort is just
Yeah.
all in.
And then you got Katy. How does Katy Perry make this list? Like that was memorable because of a poorly dancing shark. Like I don't remember one of her songs, and they're fun poppy songs. Has Taylor Swift never done a Super Bowl?
I don't know.
I'm looking, but I don't believe so.
I mean, she didn't even make honorable mention if she did, and we have no record. We don't even know if she did it. So if she did, it had to be underwhelming. Part of
No.
me feels like she did, but she must not have. Because I'll tell you, when I saw her in concert, took the kids to that, she was an incredible showwoman. Incredible.
McCartney, Diana Ross, Janet Jackson, Tom Petty, The Rolling Stones, The Weeknd, and Bruno Mars put on a good show. I remember.
It's fine.
It's fine. Bouncing around. Yeah.
This one is going to be for like you
For our
couldn't.
generation.
You couldn't.
I was talking to someone who's in their mid-20s, and I said, "What do you think when you hear, Snoop and Dre and all of that?" And they're like, "Man, that's just some classic rock. That's some classic." And I'm going,
Oh my God.
I got to find other people to hang out with."
No, that's the peak of
That's the
of
peak,
rap
Bob.
and hip hop.
We've
Yeah.
become that guy.
That's fine.
Still so much more.
We are that guy.
We
yeah.
are that guy. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Oak's a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Be safe out there, kids.
Yeah, survive the Arctic bomb. Maybe it might be a nice night for some beef soup.
Oh, if you have all the things that are required for
The necessary
beef soup.
means, yeah.
Yeah, that was that was one of the great experiences. I haven't made it since that first time, but I still have.
What?
Well timed. Yeah, I do need to run it back. I got to run it back this winter. It's time.
We're
to bring
on
it
once
back.
every 3 weeks. Like, if it's been 3 weeks without beef soup, fire it up again.
Fire it up. Keep it moving. Yeah, it was fun to make. There was a lot to it, which I remember.
Yeah, but it's pretty
was
easy.
Really
Just
good.
get it in the pot. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just a reminder for the kids at home, no live stream tomorrow.
Yeah, don't yell at Gibbe.
Please don't blow up
Please.
the Twitter timeline.
Yeah, not his fault. Not his fault. All right, good stuff. Next Level is coming up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.